The Florida Gators take on the South Carolina Gamecocks tomorrow afternoon, and we're going to talk about that game here on Locked On Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast. Happy Friday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find out my written work with Whole Nine Sports, Giants Country, NFL 33. And these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster, hear this, and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions do apply. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Like I said, I appreciate you. That will never get old for me. Now we're talking about the Florida Gators going to take on the South Carolina Gamecocks. And there's a few things that you kind of have to do in order to win this game. For me, I think the first thing is that the defensive line needs to win their battles. And I don't mean the defensive front as in including linebackers. Linebackers do need to chase. That's an important part. But all that's moot if the defensive line does not win their battles. South Carolina, as Andrew Lyon mentioned yesterday with our crossover, South Carolina is, I believe he said, obsessed with the zone run game. And that's great. Like zone running is a thing that the Florida Gators do. It's a thing that a lot of teams focus on. Of course, there's zone running and there's gap running. And South Carolina loves the zone run, completely abandoned the gap run, basically. When you want to stop that zone running game, the best way to do it is by plugging those gaps early and by early, I mean early in the play. That's where, I don't know if you've recognized him yet, number 99, Cam Jackson, that's where he makes his money, okay? He's not going to be like, oh, yeah, I had 10 sacks this year. No. But he is going to disrupt the running game of the opposition. And Cam Jackson is going to probably do that against South Carolina. Now, South Carolina is going to run inside zone and wide zone. All of it means that there's multiple rushing lanes to attack. Power, gap blocking, that means you're going to this spot and that spot. You have the freedom to cut back, but for the most part, you're going there. Zone run, there's multiple rushing lanes. If Cam Jackson can stop, both of the A gaps, and by the A gaps, that means either side of the center. If he can stop both of those rushing lanes from getting open by just two gapping it and just making a play there, which we've seen him do, that's a fantastic way to stop that zone rushing attack. Because if one man can occupy two gaps, which usually means that there's three offensive linemen in that area, that leaves plenty of space for linebackers to chase. So yes, linebackers chasing and making a play, absolutely important. However, if Cam Jackson specifically does his job in two gaps, it's over. Like it's incredibly difficult for South Carolina or any zone rushing attack to find their rhythm if you have a nose tackle that can two gap and shut it down. And that's the really important part of what Cam Jackson brings to the table. Like I mentioned, he's not going to be a 10 sack a year guy in college or the NFL. He's not going to do those kinds of things. He's not going to be even an incredible pocket pusher. That's not his game. That's not in his bag, baby. What he's going to do is he's going to two gap and he's going to disrupt that run game. Then you look at the defensive line as far as the passing game. Because again, the key is the defensive line needs to win, not that the defensive line needs to stop the run game. Defensive line needs to win. Spencer Rattler this season has been under constant, honestly, kind of disgusting pressure. Like we know that the first game he was sacked, like like 9 times or something insane like that against North Carolina. And yeah, he's had some games where the offensive line has done their job better than others because, yeah, they've had some really rough ones. But Spencer Rattler this season has been pressured 79 times. And he's been sacked 21 times. For comparative purposes, a lot of Florida Gators fans complain about the Florida Gators offensive line and pass protection. Graham Mertz has been pressured 49 times. So Spencer Rattler's been pressured 30 more times, sacked 7 more times than Spencer Rattler. It's been really rough going. I don't know if Spencer Rattler did something to his offensive line. I don't know if he gave them a Christmas gift, but it was like a crappy one. But Spencer Rattler's been under a lot of pressure. Florida Gators defensive line has to be able to generate that pressure. We know that Austin Armstrong is going to blitz every now and then. I don't think you need too much if you want to contain this South Carolina passing attack. And we'll talk about the big plays later. But if you want to just disrupt Spencer Rattler and kind of screw the rhythm that they want to develop with the Gamecocks, you create constant pressure. Force him to check it down. Don't allow him the time that he wants, the time that he's looking for to create big plays. Because Spencer Rattler, he can hold the ball a little long there. We know that the Florida Gators have seen that happen with their own quarterback, because Graham Mertz has done that. Spencer Rattler does it a lot. So you get in that backfield and you make plays that generate, again, consistent pressure and wreak havoc without having to blitz. Man, there's no other way to put it other than it's going to be really rough for Spencer Rattler. There's been 84 pressures in the backfield so far this season for South Carolina, including the backups. You disrupt that passing attack. Like Princely Umanmielen, this is your time to shine. This is your time to shine. South Carolina is starting a freshman at one tackle spot. The other tackle spot not looking too great, buddy. Like this is where Princely has to just pin his ears back on these passing downs and make and he's been doing that for the past few weeks. You exclude the Kentucky game because Kentucky, they had 4 plays where it took them longer than 2 seconds to throw the ball. I don't expect you to make plays when they're getting the ball out that quickly. But you look at Vanderbilt, Charlotte, Tennessee, Princely Umanmielen consistently generated pressures there. And he can make those plays as a pass rusher, that he's going to have to make those plays there. And I think he can do it. I don't think we see much from the interior, but Princely, TJ Searcy, Kelby Collins, Caleb Banks, if he goes a little wide, Tariq Sapp, should all be able to make some kind of impact on this passing attack. Because Princely could get chipped kind of frequently. Like that's not something that South Carolina is really scared of doing. I don't want to say, I feel like scared is like a crappy word to use, but it's not something that they've necessarily shied away from adding a helper, we'll say. I mean, one of their tight ends blocks on like 22% of his passing snaps, running back on 20%. They've had no problem keeping in extra protectors. So Princely is probably going to be the guy that gets double teamed there. However, that just means that other players should have room to make plays. We're about to talk about the offensive side of the ball and really what they need to do more than anything else. But before we talk about that, these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high stakes wager for your small business. And you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. And that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Okay, so you post your job, you have your job posting, hey, we're hiring, add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile, and that spreads the word that you're hiring. Someone's just scrolling, see your picture, see that purple frame, they're like, oh, that person's hiring. I'm looking for more money, because who isn't? With simple tools like screening questions, makes it easier for you to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. That's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts. And I've mentioned it pretty much this whole week. Locked On Gators is now on Subtext. So you join the link down below, the Locked On Gators Subtext link. You join, and guess what? You get 2 weeks free. And then it's $5 a month for exclusive content that we're going to be doing. We're going to be getting into more film breakdowns because I think we need more of that here. And we're going to have one-on-one conversations with yours truly. Say whatever you could insult me if you want. That's fine too. And during games, we'll be able to have live reaction, live conversation there. But now we're talking about the Florida Gators offense and what they need to do. And I really have one big thing that they need to do. And for me, it's the rushing game has to do their jobs. And by rushing game, I do mean the offensive line and the running backs. I think that when you look at how this Florida Gators offensive line matches up against the South Carolina offensive line, the one way to describe South Carolina's offensive line, and we described it yesterday on Locked On Gamecocks and Locked On Gators crossover, they've been wildly inconsistent. They could show up, they could not. However, the Florida Gators offensive line, no matter which combination is out there, because again, they're probably going to go 7 or 8 deep, they should be able to create rushing lanes relatively consistently. I don't mean every down is going to be like parting the Red Sea, but I do mean that this offensive line should be able to make some plays. No matter what combination you're looking at, it should be there. The South Carolina defensive line hasn't been impressive. There's just no other, like I said, they've been inconsistent. They haven't really been impressive, at least from my perspective. I don't think that they're an awesome defensive line in both the passing game and the running game. And you look at how this rushing attack got going against Tennessee and against Vanderbilt and how they didn't get going against Kentucky. As much as myself, Billy Napier, Rob Sale, as much as we all love that wide zone style, I need this offensive line to go more gap-based. And again, I'm someone who I love wide zone. My favorite rush concept is split zone read. Okay? It's not what's working with this offensive line. You go with that GH counter, GT counter. You go with the GH bluff reverse that Ricky Pearsall scored his touchdown on. GH bluff reverse. That right here. Let me pull it up. This little, there goes the pen. This little play right here, this GH counter. You fake it, and instead of pulling across, you come back, and this receiver's running a reverse, and that's where Ricky Pearsall scored a touchdown on. Gap blocking worked better than zone blocking for the Florida Gators against Vanderbilt. Gap blocking worked better than zone blocking for the Florida Gators against Tennessee, and it's worked better consistently. We haven't seen it nearly enough. You got to put the offensive line in their best chance to succeed, which has not been wide zone. It hasn't been the zone blocking stuff. Again, as much as I love it, and as much as I know this coaching staff loves it, and many other people love it, it hasn't been the best approach for the running game. And the running game needs to work for this offense to work. We've seen that. Like we've seen every game where the rushing game has struggled, the passing game has not been able to carry them. Running backs need to hit the hole and create big gains. And I think when you look at someone like, let's say, Trayon Webb, he's, as a true freshman in general, I think most true freshmen should operate better in gap blocking schemes where the game is faster. I know that that's a big conversation when players go from college to the NFL is, the NFL is faster. College is faster than high school. The game is faster. I don't think that you should focus too much on zone block. Just hey, you're going to run between the left tackle and the left guard. That B gap is yours. And let them just run through it. And I think that's an important part with someone like Trayon Webb. We watched him against Vanderbilt rip off a couple solid. He had 4 carries, if I'm not mistaken. And his best ones, gap blocking. You look at the 1st and 10 GH counter, picked up a first down on it. Stuff like that. Like, just let the true freshman go, hey, you're going from point A to point B. That's it. Don't worry too much about, all right, like, you're going to have these few rushing lanes. You could pick whichever one you think is best. And this isn't this isn't a knock on Trown Webb at all. This is, again, like I said, an approach I think you should take with most, if not all, true freshmen of just, hey, hit that rushing lane. Just that's where you're going and go. And let them do that. That's what I think that's the best way to find success with a running back, a true freshman running back specifically, that doesn't have generational vision. Like Trevor Etienne last year did a great job at that. Most true freshmen don't. Let him hit the lane and let him do that. So the Florida Gators, your rushing game has to do their job because it has to work. If your rushing game does not work, if your running attack doesn't work, you're in for a very, very long afternoon. And that's where I think the Florida Gators rushing attack will work also. I'll say that much. Where this isn't a awful this isn't an awful South Carolina defense. It's not elite. I think that the rushing attack should be able to work. I think that your offensive line should be able to create rushing lanes for your backs, and you have damn good backs. I don't care who you're talking about. I don't care if you're talking about Montrell Johnson, Trevor Etienne, Trown Webb. You have very talented running backs. Allow them to be talented. Put them in the position to succeed. And the position to succeed for South Carolina, or for the South Carolina game, is that gap blocking style. Just truck through. They're not going to pick up, consistent 9-yard gains, but I think it puts you in the best position to pick up consistently 5 yards, 4 yards, with the occasional explosive. And that's all you can really ask for. We're about to talk about the defense again because there is another thing the defense has to do relatively consistently in order to win. Snap into the action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, whether you win or lose. And if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. You've got the MLB postseason. Love it. You've got the NFL. Love it. You've got college football. Love it. You've got the NBA coming back. You've got tennis tournaments still going on. ATP Shanghai is right now. Make some money. The app's incredibly easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, everything you can want. Everything. And you could parlay it. Make some real money. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season right. And remember that FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts. I think that the last thing that you need to do that's a major key to victory here for defense, no big plays in the passing game. Just you can't do it. You can't allow this South Carolina passing attack to kind of just make you pay for being stupid. And that's the nicest way I could put it, because I don't think there's another way to put it other than that. I don't think there's a way to put it other than you can't give them big plays. You can't give them yardage that they, frankly, haven't earned. And South Carolina has kind of lived on that a bit. You look at Xavier Legette, their leading receiver right now. There have been so many times where I cut on a South Carolina game, and he's just taking a short pass for long yardage. Not a touchdown every time. I'm not going to pretend that he does that. But big gains consistently. Xavier Legette has 32 catches, 606 yards, okay? On just 38 targets, completing 84.2% of passes when he's targeted. So 606 yards, 232 come after the catch. Okay, 232. A third of his yards come after the catch, and quite a few of them have been just, hey, man, I'm going to run a drag and just destroy you. Against Mississippi State, he had 189 yards. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, 189 yards receiving. 138 of them came after the catch. They've been trying to just get him the ball in creative ways and just let him run. which is a hell of a strategy. He's one of the fastest players in college football right now at 6'3", 227. He's running like, I know that they're saying he's registered 22 miles per hour. That's a lie. And we know that. He's not registering 22 something miles per hour at that size. Like that's Tyreek Hill speed. And he's not generating that. Now everybody lies in college football. Like, he's running 20, he's 27 miles per hour at quarterback. Like, there's just insane things like that don't actually happen. That's what they're doing. But Xavier Legette has been a huge run after catch threat. Amarian Brown has 133 yards on the season. I'm going to give you, and he's a wide receiver. I'm going to give you 3 seconds to guess how many. He has 133 receiving yards. 3 seconds to guess how many yards are after the catch this season. 147. He has more yards after the catch than he has total yards this season. Dakarian Joyner, 75 yards after the catch. You want to know how many receiving yards he has? 75. Trey Knox, 164 receiving yards. 68 after the catch. Like, the average depth of target for so many of these players, not high. A lot of what they've done as a passing team has come with yards after the catch. So this is where we say Jordan Castell, Miguel Mitchell, whoever's playing at safety, whoever's playing at linebacker, you've got to come up and, first off, crack these guys. Second, wrap them up and bring them to the ground. Those are your options. Demolish them or wrap them up. Spencer Rattler, he wants to throw the ball. He wants to throw the deep ball. He can't because the offensive line. So they adjust by, all right, let's dink and dunk and just let these guys run after. 23% of his catch, or 23% of his targets behind the line of scrimmage. A quarter of his passes behind the line of scrimmage. For Florida, it's 35%. That's why we've seen teams take the approach of, just play really close to the line of scrimmage and make a play there. Simple as that, right? Graham Mertz has about 33% of his passes are from 0 to 10 yards. Spencer Rattler's at 42.5%. These passing attacks, they both want to check it down as quick as they can and get the ball out as quick as they can and let their players run. But the difference is that Spencer Rattler, he's going to throw that thing deep if he gets the opportunity. And guess what? He's pretty damn good at throwing the ball deep. I understand that we can all criticize Spencer Rattler for a million things. He can throw the ball deep. And when he does, he's pretty damn good at it. Completing 56% of his passes when 20-plus yards downfield, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Those are phenomenal numbers. I know that without context, it means those are phenomenal numbers. Okay? When you pressure him, he's going to try to get rid of the ball quickly. Get in there. And I don't mean blitz him. I mean pressure him. He's been actually damn good against the blitz. But it's when there's pressure without blitzing, which the Florida Gators have been fine at generating, that's where you get him in trouble. And so he wants to check it down. That's fine. Let him throw the ball short. Let him throw the screen. Let him throw the swing. Let him throw it to the flat. Let him throw a slant. Come up and make the play. That's it. That's it. I know it's way easier said than done. But this is an offense that they're going to throw the ball short a lot. And they're going to throw the ball over the middle a lot. That's why I'm saying safeties and linebackers specifically, you got to come up and make a play. You have to, when you look at, we'll say, behind the line of scrimmage and 10 yards downfield, all as in less than 10 yards downfield, in the middle of the field, they're what? 64 completions on 69 attempts with about 562 yards. Like they're dinking and dunking their way, and then they're picking up yards after the catch. You just can't let them do that. You can't. Pressure has to come in, again, from a 4-man pass rush specifically. And everybody on the back end, the other 7, have to come up and make the tackle. And that is how you can really just suffocate this South Carolina offense. Defensive line has to make plays. Yeah. Linebackers, safeties, come up and make the stop. And don't give them Easy completion, easy yardage. Easy completion, easy yardage. Make them earn every damn inch on that field. Because again, this is an offense that wants to take deep shots. That's probably where corners come in more than anything else. Squeeze the receiver to the line, to the out of bounds marker, sideline, push him out there. But they're not going to have the opportunity to take many deep shots against this Florida Gators offense, or against Florida Gators defense, unless they keep a lot of guys into pass protect. Wreck them. Simple as that. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free reviews in the podcast. We'll be back maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday morning. I'm traveling, so it's going to be tough for me to commit to a specific time. But you will have a post-game episode, whether that's Sunday morning or Saturday night. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Whole Nine Sports, Giants Country, NFL 33. And I will see you all tomorrow.